Me by God, Gene. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sideline Junkies Podcast Network. It's the show called the Gridiron. As we like to tell people in the world, it's the greatest fictitious college football show in the world, Craig. In the world, Craig. We out here Saturday morning. We got to recap week 9. We're going to recap week 10. We've got our first picture of the college football playoff system. We're not going to be in here long. Probably going to give you about 20, 25 minutes. We got 2 weeks, week 9, week 10. We had a big matchup this week, Ohio State and Penn State. I caught some of the live, so I'm going to give you some of my feedback on that. With all that being said, it's the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network. The show is called The Gridiron. I am your host. I am the Midnight Rider. You've seen me probably on multiple shows across the network, but it don't matter because today this is special. This is what I do. This is where I get to have some fun. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to worry about the real world stuff. I can just come in here. We can talk. We can kick it. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a league that's on the PlayStation 5, College Football 26. We've taken on all invites. We just added Coach Jackson, who used Clemson, and he had a very impressive game last week. Again, our motto is simple and it's the same. If you want the smoke, we got the cigar, we got the lighter, and let's do it. All right. Now, a lot of the top tier teams are taken, but if you can play ball, you can work with whatever you got. I mean, last season, Coach BJ, boss man, took the Maryland Terps, took them from a 3-star team. When he finished, they were a 5-star team. And if they're still playing simulations of that game, I think the last simulation that they played, Maryland without Coach BJ was number 1 in the country. So you take that how you want to take it, but it's the truth. It's what we do, and it's how we do what we do when we do what we're doing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is just one of our things. All right, it's the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network again, and let's jump right into it. Let's go into week 9. So I'm about to be off the screen here for a second, and you're going to get just the highlights and the recap of some of the ball games that were played this week. And with all that being said, let's start off with Coach BJ's team, since we're talking about Coach BJ, and the Texas Longhorns. The Texas Longhorns played Mississippi State. Score was Texas 24, Mississippi State 21. Looks like they held off Mississippi State's late run to try to make a comeback win. Looks like the running game wasn't going for Boss Man. Only 58 yards on the ground, 1 TD. But he did have 231 through the air with 2 touchdown passes. On the defensive side, they only gave up 30 yards rushing. They gave up 254 through the air. So it looked like both teams got their pass game going. Both teams were able to make things work through the air. Nobody got anything on the ground. That's why we have a 24-21 ball game. Looks like the boss man went in trailing at the half, came out, put 14 up in the third quarter, and then put 7 up in the fourth and just held on and held off the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And he didn't have to hear the kettlebells ringing after the ball game. Next up, LSU at Texas A&M. This ball game, 28-6 LSU. LSU had, let's see what they have on ground, 82 yards rushing, 198 through the air. Texas A&M with 202 through the air and 24 yards rushing. Let's go to the next one because I can't remember which one was the user in this LSU ball game. I think DeVron is using LSU, but I don't want to get that wrong. Next up is our man, Coach Darnell, always willing to jump in the chat, always willing to talk. Talks a lot of shit in the comment section, guys. If y'all don't know, I wish y'all could see the transcript from the clippings in the WhatsApp conversation that we all have together as a group. But Coach Darnell came out with an impressive 38-2 win over Michigan State. This is one of our run game grinders here, and he proved it. He proved it in the pudding. Well, the proof was in the pudding, I should say. 259 on the ground, 4 touchdowns, only 113 through the air. That looks very J.J. McCarthy-esque. They only gave up 110 through the air and 33 on the ground. So he always has a solid defense. Looks like he got out to a good start early, putting 14 up, going into the half at 24-0. The only blemish is the safety he gave up in the third quarter. But like I said, always, man, Coach Darnell is one of those guys that he's always going to go through his ground game. He's one of the best running teams in the league. I can't express that or say that more often. You guys probably hear that nauseum and probably have a drinking game on how many times I talk about his rushing attack. But it's the truth. Oregon plays Wisconsin. Oregon's the user-led team. And, of course, Oregon air raid system, 278, 2 touchdowns through the air. Looks like the rush game, he got 57 and 1 touchdown. The Oregon coach is pretty good on defense, too. And it looks like the numbers are showing that he gave up 1 yard of rushing. Jeez. 65 through the air. The Badgers were 1 for 7 on third down. Another case where Oregon got out early, 24-0 at the half, and they just cruised the victory. Didn't give up anything. Didn't allow many yards on the ground. Well, actually, they didn't allow any yards on the ground. They allowed a yard on the ground and then put up 65 through the air. Again, just another one of those situations where Oregon comes out, dominates, and wins the ball game. This next matchup in the future will be user versus user, but right now, until the Alabama kid gets off his private jet and decides to land in the college football 26 world, this is Coach Devon versus the CPU. Coach Devon is coaching the South Carolina Gamecocks, of course, in real life. He coaches the Spartans, the 300, the Laurel Spartans. They got a game today at 2. I think they're in Lanham. I think they're playing Duval today. So, Coach, good luck on your matchup. With that being said, let's talk about your matchup on the video game. Looks like the South Carolina Gamecocks came out, shut out Alabama, 26-0. Let's see what happened in the stats here. Stat-wise, the rush game got going for Coach. 123 on the ground, 3 tutties, 137 through the air. A little balance. Coach always talks about balance and liking to be balanced, and he found that balance in this ball game. On the ground, they gave up 41 yards, only 239 through the air. Alabama was 3 for 7 on third downs, but it looks like just when it had to happen, Coach made plays. Unfortunately, they don't show turnovers on this. And I would love to see the turnover battle because it looks like Coach got some turnovers and may have gotten a couple short fields to turn this into a dub for him. With that being said, that's the first part, or that is week 9 of our show. So what we're going to do is take a quick break, come back with week 10 and get you updated on that. Do I have the commercials and stuff? I don't. So what we're doing is we're not going to do that at all. We're going to just keep the party going because I don't have the commercial breaks on this studio. So I apologize for that and saying that was going to happen. So with that being said, week 10, South Carolina, Ole Miss, tough matchup. South Carolina is on a mission. Looks like they're taking out teams out of they got off to a slow start. Now they're taking teams out of the running for, excuse me for a second, take teams out of the running for the playoff system. So with that being said, the number 9 at the time, Ole Miss Rebels against South Carolina, score was 35-34. Looked like Coach had to do some work to get back in the ball game and take the lead. I got to talk to Coach because this Twitch stream is the only one I can't get to And I don't know what it is about Twitch, but Twitch is so much clearer than the YouTube. But that's just me telling y'all stuff that y'all don't need to know. Running game, 115 on the ground, 4 tutties, 172 through the air. Coach did struggle on third down. He was 0 for 7, but that didn't play into the outcome of this ball game. On the defensive side, they gave up 394. Looks like they gave up 385 through the air, and they had 4 touchdowns, or gave up 4 touchdowns in the air. But Ole Miss couldn't get his run game going. So this looked like a good old-fashioned shootout based on the stats. Two teams doing it different ways. We always talk about styles making fights. Where it looks like the styles here was coach's balanced attack against the heavy pass-laden attack of Ole Miss. And let's see, we got a comment here. Let me see if I can get this comment pulled up. Coach Marcus. Yes, sir. Up at Duval today. All right, man. Coach, y'all go get them, man. Go ahead and let them know what it feels like to deal with 300. They may have football players, but they ain't got Spartans with them. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back to the stats here. Let's get Coach out of the way. Week 10, continuing. Penn State played Ohio State. This was the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. I made sure I could see some of this. And I don't know if you guys saw last week's episode when I was blessed with Coach Rodney and Coach BJ from the league. They kept saying something, and they kept saying it ad nauseum, that you got to steal the momentum when you're at the other team's place, or you got to break the momentum. And this game was full of momentum being on Ohio State side. They got out early 3-0. When I turned the game on, I guess I got there middle of the third quarter because it was 6-0. They got 2 turnovers, I think, late, and scored on both possessions and turned this into a 21-0 shutout. But it was a tough ball game the whole time. It looked like Ohio State was just right there on the cusp of making something happen, but for some reason, and I think it was the home field advantage. I really think in this ball game, if you guys take a seat back and if you go back on our YouTube and watch this ball game being played, you can see the effect the home team had on this ball game. And the home team being Ohio State, there were times when Coach would pull up his icons to make passes, and you wouldn't see any icons at all. So the young Penn State, or the Penn State team, was very rattled in this ball game. Not so much the user, from a user standpoint, but from just the ball game itself and the gameplay standpoint. And that played a huge factor in this ball game. I want to see this ball game again. Hopefully we can get this in the playoffs. We're going to have a picture of the playoffs down the line for you in the show that you can look at, and you can see where we are as of right now. Again, this is our first year in a new playoff setup because they did adjust the playoffs after last year's debacle by putting all the division winners. So what's now going to happen in college football as a whole, but especially on this video game, is you're going to get the top 4 teams according to the rankings as the teams with the buys. And then the next couple of teams we made up of division winners and the remaining teams left. So that's just a note to keep on the side. Just when you're thinking about college football, whether you're thinking about it in real life or here in the greatest fictitious college football world in the world, Craig, the top 4 teams based on the rankings will get the buys. Okay, that's an adjustment from last year. Last year it was division winners. The top 4 division winners got the buys based on their ranking. But this year it's just the top 4 teams in the country. And that's something you got to remember, because it's going to change the whole landscape of the way this is going to play out. With that being said, let's get back to week 10, and we should have Vanderbilt in Texas. This was an upset, man. And Coach in his post-game comments, when we were talking post-game, he was talking about the Vandy crowd. Vandy's number 12. He was ranked number 4 going into the matchup. But he said he could not get momentum going and get it in his favor. And he ends up losing in OT 31-28. Vandy makes a valiant comeback in the fourth quarter, which he talked about again in his presser. He said he had a feeling at a certain point that Vandy, the game was going to fall into Vandy's hands based on the momentum and the crowd noise. And that's exactly what happened. Like I said, man, sometimes y'all, if y'all want to, man, you can join our chat, even if you just want to see these guys talk trash and recap what happened in their ball games. I get a lot of my information from our chats. And it's on the WhatsApp. And if you want to invite, just reach out to one of us. Because if you're watching this, you know one of the coaches in the league. With that being said, Vanderbilt, 30 yards on the ground, 207 through the air. That sounds like there's some short fields involved. On the Texas side, Texas with 63 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown on the ground, 3 touchdowns through the air, 242, 3 for 7 on third down, and Vandy was 4 for 10 on third down. But the way Vandy's yards look, I didn't see this ball game. I didn't get a chance to view it, but it looks like just from the outside view, this was a situation where the Texas Longhorns turned the ball over a couple times, gave Vandy some short fields, and that's how they ended up winning. But Bossman made a statement again about just the crowd noise, the momentum, and it just echoed the same sentiment they mentioned on the show. If you missed last week's show, go to YouTube, type in Sideline Junkies. It's the Gridiron. If you don't know, now you know. And check us out, man. We do stuff here just to keep people updated with what we do on the video game. It might be a novel concept, but we like to just have some fun in our league and do something that people ain't doing. And if you see somebody else out here doing a college football show based on their college football league, they copying us, man. We the originators. All right. This is our second season of the Gridiron, and we're gonna do this as long as we can, and then as long as we keep having fun, man. The next game up on the slate is Michigan against Purdue. Looks like Michigan was able to blow out Purdue pretty handily. This was 35-0 going into the fourth. Looks like Coach Darnell kicked it in cruise. Again, Coach Darnell's run game, 240 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 107 yards in the air. On the defensive side, let's see, gave up 2 yards rushing, if I got the numbers right. Yep. And 96 through the air. So he held them under 100 yards. I think that says it all, man. That's why we had a blowout, and we also had a shutout. And that's crazy. Last game of the week should be Coach Jackson, Clemson Tigers. The Tigers at Duke. Duke was actually ranked 24. The Tigers are ranked 7. The Tigers should be maybe on that close to that byline when this new thing comes out because of the upsets. They should be higher up in the rankings. They might get a bye in this first projected playoff series. So that's the thing to keep an eye on. Clemson is new. They're different. I want to see a couple more ball games because I think I have a fix on Coach Marcus style. I think he's a passing guy. So I think he fits in with BJ, the Oregon guy, more so than the Darnells and the Rodneys of this league. But I'm going to keep watching before I figure it out. And now that we got Coach Powell and Coach is the balance guy, so we got some categories that coaches are fitting into. And it's one of the beautiful parts about this league is you start seeing styles. And as I always say, I mean, I didn't originate this saying, but styles make fights, styles make ball games. With that being said, let's recap the stats for Coach Marcus in this ball game. Looks like he got 46 yards on the ground with 1 tutty, 3 touchdowns in the air, 240 yards passing. Looks like he gave up only 73 yards passing, 37 yards rushing. Coach got him right at 100 yards. That explains the shutout and everything. Goes into the half up 14-0, comes out, puts 14 up in the fourth quarter, finishes the ball game out, closes the door, shuts the casket, plays the Undertaker music, and gets out of. Actually, he was at home, so they leave out with a W in this ball game, which is amazing. Here we go. That's the weeks that we played. Now we're gonna get you into is the quick Heisman update. Last week, 4 of the top 5 guys in the Heisman voting were user-led teams. Let's see what we have now. We got 3. So Justice Haynes from Michigan is running away. Well, he's running a lot. I don't have the stats here, but there they are. His last game against Purdue, he had 240 yards rushing, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 15 yards receiving. So that sounds like numbers that a Heisman back should be putting up. Number 2 in the race is Quintravion Wisner, University of Texas. He's in second place in this. He's actually moved up because I think last week he was at number 4, if memory serves me correctly. And a guy that's kind of fallen in the thing, because I think he was 1 last week, now he's 5, is Nicholas Singleton from Penn State. That's another running back. So basically this Heisman race is 4 running backs and 1 QB. The QB is Blake Shapen from Mississippi State. That's not a user team. That's why I didn't bring it up. And let's look at going forward. Here is the college football picture as of right now. I don't think we've done an advance yet. I think everybody's playing their games for this upcoming week, today and tomorrow for week 11. We'll get you an update of that next week on next week's show. We'll give you a recap, I should say. As I look at in the thing, Texas is the number 4 team. So they get a bye. Michigan is number 1, user team. They get a bye. Ohio State is number 2 in the country. Of course, they have the bye. It's going to be interesting to see where this Ohio State-Michigan game is and how that plays out, because this is the trash talker game of all games. I would love to hear a live, maybe we can get a pregame interview or a post-game show, but this is 2 of the biggest trash talkers I know. Coach Darnell, Coach Day. The league hasn't heard Coach Day talk his trash yet, but trust me, it's going to be there. All right. Looks like Oregon falls in at number 5. Penn State is at 6, and Clemson is at 7. So those are all the user teams in the playoffs. And if I miss a team in the playoffs, count it to my mind, not to my intentions. But that's what I remember from the rundown or the roster of coaches and the teams that they are using this season. With that being said, we got one more thing, and that is the top 25. And I'm going to give you a quick rundown. We ran through some of this before when we were talking about the playoff system, but here we go. Michigan's number 1, 8-1. Ohio State, number 2, 6-2. Texas, 8-1. They're number 4. Oregon is 5 at 6-2. Penn State is 6 at 8-1. Clemson is 7 at 7-2. Just don't forget, Clemson's only been playing live games for 2 weeks. So most of that is computer generated. So keep that in mind. See, I think LSU is a user-led team at 6-2. So we're gonna count that for now. And if I'm wrong, somebody just correct me and tell me I'm wrong. And that looks like that's it for the user-led teams in the top 25 that I can think of. And again, like I said to y'all before, if I missed you, it wasn't my intention. Let's see. We got some comments here real quick. Let's close out with the comments and get it going. Let's see. Coach Jackson bragging about his game. He said he had the 2s in as well. So That's a good thing. I think that's kind of underrated on this game is you got to get your twos in to get them, build them up. So when you go into the all-season workout program, these guys can level up at a better number or a higher rate than what they normally would do. I actually kind of voiced that concern last year because I didn't see a lot of guys putting their twos in towards the end of the ball games to close games out when they had a blowout lead. With that being said, we don't have much. We right up against 12. We like to get out so everybody can get to watching their college football games because this is the Gridiron. It's the world's greatest fictitious college football show in the world, Craig. And with that being said, I don't have much else left. I don't have a preview for next week, but the guys play a lot of these games on the YouTube page. Check it out. Some guys use Twitch. I like watching the live version of the games because I get to see and got to kind of get this to put identity to the guy's profile and the way he plays. And that's why I like this. That's why I like this seat. I'm doing this just because I love talking ball and I like having fun. And this league has been fun. I want to thank the fellas just for allowing me to do this podcast on the league. They provide me with the info. They give me the stats. They give me everything I need to go into this week or each Saturday talking to you folks. And with all that being said, since it's that time, it's the witching hour. It's time for us to get out and let college football take over the rest of the day. I'm the Midnight Rider. This show is called The Gridiron. We do what we do. If you want an invitation, reach out to somebody that you know that's in the league. Most of the guys are the junkies, or come to the Sideline Junkies page and put a message on the thing. Again, if you want the smoke, we got the cigar and the lighter. And with that being said, this is another edition of the greatest fictitious college football show in the world called The Gridiron. I am the Midnight Rider. We are out of here. Enjoy your real college football. And when you're ready, come back to us and we'll tell you about the greatest fictitious college football league in the world.